Hi, my name's Neil Munday and I'm your host for the Stirling Business Podcast. The podcast is brought to you from Studio King Street here in the heart of Stirling. You can book our wonderful studio by going onto our website and making a booking that way, or sending an email to inquiries@studiokingstreet.com. Or you can simply pick up the phone and give Laura a call to make your booking. So, over to this week's episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. Hi Tina, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for having me.
So thank you for agreeing to be on the Stirling Business Podcast. So director, founder of Progressive Pathways and the Green Skills Trading Academy. That sounds like a lot of work.
Two very different organizations, yes.
And I'm sure we'll get into both businesses and talk about any synergy, if there is any synergy between the two businesses. So before we get into specifically talking about what you're doing here in the Forth Valley area in particular, and I guess further afield than that, how did life start out for Tina? So from an education perspective and business perspective.
My parents were first generation in Boston, Massachusetts. They're Italian. I went to private school. My parents worked very hard. They wanted us to be educated, westernized, and they did their best. I loved school. I studied business law and microeconomics in my earlier days. Wasn't for me. I'm a creative. I always wanted to go to art school. That wasn't allowed. I then went on to work for two multinational companies, U.S. companies, got to travel the world a bit, and ended up in Scotland.
So what did you do in your career then? What
in my career, technical marketing, AI in the 1980s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So AI is not a new thing.
AI is not a new thing. It's not new at all. Mm-hmm. Went into OCR, ICR, intelligent character recognition, early days of Siri as we know it now. I went on to work for another organization who were the developers, the founders of Ethernet.
Right.
And one of the first ISPs, internet service providers, and then went on to communications. So communication being call centers.
Right.
When they were trending. Moved to Ireland and managed a call center, a very large call center in Ireland and Southern Ireland. Went to work for a consultancy out of London, for business consultancy, and then stepped off the treadmill and went back. I went to art school. It was something I always wanted to do. And now we're talking about, I'm in my mid-40s. So I did a taster course and ended up going to university here for a further 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us up to roughly, the last few years or?
Roughly about 15 years ago.
All right, okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because once I graduated and I had experimented and, did all of the art things, I thought maybe I'll go back into business. And I had lost a lot of my network. But the network that I had asked me some very pointed questions. You went to art school. What do you have to offer us? I spent the next 8 months walking the Ochils with that question in my head. And there's a lot about art school. Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, independence, resilience, persistence, relinquishing control. All of these are very important when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the turning point for me about I'm going to do my own thing.
Okay, and was that the beginning of Progressive Pathways?
That was the very beginning of Progressive Pathways. Progressive Pathways is 6 years old now. We are located here in Stirling, And we are in the business of human growth. So what does that mean? Sometimes it's training, sometimes it's coaching, mentoring, or organizational development.
And what are your demographics? Who do you typically sell to?
So we do, I would say, commercially large corporate accounts. However, I would like to think, and it is our aim as a limited company, we have social impact. It's very important to us. We do quite a lot of employability here in Stirling and in Clackmannanshire, also in Falkirk, training young people to become the next generation of our workforce and helping them to future-proof their careers.
So you're catching them as they're coming out of education?
Not always. Mostly, there's a gap. So they'll come out of education and they're either not employed or in education, or they're unemployed and they are registered unemployed. Either way, we're working through our local partners, through the councils, through Department of Work and Pensions, to train young people who are interested in the courses that we devise.
And what type of courses are they? Are they to make themselves more marketable, or are they more prescriptive around things like HR or marketing?
Quite a range. It's quite a range. I would say that Progressive Pathways, we have upwards of 80 various courses and workshops. And the employability, because it's stage, you're talking about the first stage of employment, a lot of it is employment with skills employment. So whether that's barista courses or retail courses, and we can talk about green skills separately, because green skills also has an employability avenue as well. But I'll tell you the difference between those two companies in a little bit.
Okay, so where is Progressive Pathways now in its journey? Where would you say you're at? Are you diversifying further, or do you have your kind of market pretty much kind of ring-fenced and that's what you're focused on?
Our market is ring-fenced. However, that's not to say that we're not growing. We do have some new technological advances that we're working on so that we then can offer what we offer face-to-face to a wider audience. That could be anywhere in the world. So you can log on, it's on demand, and we're in the process of doing that. That's the next phase for us.
And is most of the training and education that you deliver, is it online? Is it in person? Is it a blend? How you typically deliver it?
It is face-to-face, mostly for support, but the course itself, the content is hybrid. So it's a combination of online and face-to-face. A large part of it is not skills. A large part of it is personal development, and that's what we specialize in, is personal development. So we have a 5-day course called Unexplored Identity, and I wouldn't recommend it just for kids. It's also for adults. It forces us to ask the questions that we either shy away from or that are not asked of us on a day-to-day basis. We focus on strengths to begin with, and we can offer coaching post-course for those who want coaching during their journey.
Okay. So if we kind of shift gears a little bit, so I see you've diversified into the renewables world. What specifically is your focus there, Tina?
So Green Skills Training Academy, I would describe it in two ways. There's energy generation and there's energy consumption. Now, from the energy generation point of view, you might say that's more white collar, and the energy consumption is more blue collar. So you're talking skills like internal wall insulation, heat source pumps, solar panels, that sort.
So renewable skills for the trades, effectively.
For the trades, yes. Renewables for the trades. And the other part of that is the Global Wind Organization, where our skills, they're health and safety skills for people who are working onshore and offshore. And we're very close to opening our doors. It's been a long journey because of the health and safety aspect. It is specific, and it has to be assessed. It gets audited, and it requires a significant investment.
So if you're training people how to hang off ropes, for example, and service wind turbines,
Mhm.
it's to get the certifications, if you like, to be able to deliver
Mhm.
the training that's effectively going to save their lives and other people's lives.
That's right. And it's not just the certification in the first instance. There are those that are coming into the industry and they need to gain these certifications. But those certifications, for health and safety reasons, need to be maintained on a regular basis throughout their career lifetime.
Okay, so similar to a question I asked about progressive pathways, how do businesses and institutions, organizations get involved with the Skills Academy?
So our website will be up and running. We will have a full PR um, announcement. We will do that on LinkedIn, of course. We have had a year's worth of public relations, so we are always talking to others in the industry. Um, some very major manufacturers are aware and they're just waiting for everything to come together, and it won't be long. And we do expect significant traffic coming through. And that's not the only thing. The facility itself, so we took on a property, a 5,000 square foot property, a little over a year ago. And what we are doing is we're retrofitting the whole commercial property so that it is a living, breathing renewables. It's an example of what
Yes, it's a
commercial.
showcase of
It's
what
a
you're going to
showcase
be
of what we
delivering.
do.
Yeah.
Yes. And, there's a lot of talk when you talk about green, there is a lot of what we call greenwashing. We're not going to greenwash. We're going to minimize our footprint and we're going to walk the walk.
Okay, so so you talked a little bit about the blue collar side of it. So the trades, if you like, learning how to, I'm assuming, install things like solar panels
Mhm.
or EV chargers or whatever it might be. Um, what are you going to extend that to non-green trades as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's not just those who are upskilling or those who are already in the
or
industry.
retraining. Yeah.
We're retraining. I'll give you an example, a domestic energy assessor. Domestic energy assessors for retrofit, there's a shortage as it is at the moment. And at the moment, domestically, you only need to have your EPC rating every 10 years. The government's changing that to 5 years, which is going to widen the gap
We're
for.
thinking about renaming it as well, but I think they've maybe shelved that particular idea.
Well, they may rename it, but any retrofit that you're doing needs to be measured before it is retrofit, and it needs to be measured again.
Mhm.
If an example, if you look at, let's say, Clackmannanshire alone, maybe there's around 6,000 social properties that will need an EPC rating
Mhm.
to start before a retrofit happens, or perhaps maybe a retrofit doesn't happen, but it still needs to happen in the first place. There is a shortage, and it is a course that anyone can access, and we are going to offer that, and we are offering it at the moment. We're talking to some local organizations and some not local organizations, because while we are doing training here in Forth Valley, we also take a selection of our courses and we're mobile.
Okay. So it looks like the renewables sector in particular, or the green sector, is evolving very, very quickly. Lots of new innovations coming along, from a kind of small, one-man band up into large organizations bringing new technologies to market. Will you guys get involved in any of that innovation and, enablement, if you like, of bringing some of these new technologies and measures into the EPC process, for example? Do you follow the question?
Yes,
Yeah.
the answer is absolutely. Absolutely. We are always, this isn't we'll build it and that's the end of it. We are continuing to look at new technologies. I'm in London next week
Mhm.
to look at new technologies, considering if you even take internal wall insulation, for instance, there are so many different types. And what's the right type for the right property? This is knowledge. So we're constantly gathering knowledge. And if someone says, hey, I know someone who invented this, I want to see it.
Great. Okay. So that's very close to my heart. As you know, I'm a property developer. That's kind of what I do. I do this as a bit of a sideline,
Mhm.
but yeah, traditional buildings is a big passion of mine, and retrofitting or refurbishing, retrofitting buildings like that need the care, the love, and attention that's expected. But there's a fine line nowadays because it's really difficult to, um, you know, find the right balance between cost and the products that are available
Mhm.
from a from an industry perspective. But it sounds like are you potentially going to have some skill sets in and around traditional buildings within your
Absolutely.
capabilities as well? So
Absolutely.
people can be trained on how to fit out a listed building, for example, in the most economic and
Yes,
green nature.
and you're
Yeah.
right. There is a balance. I just undertook a course where they talked about different types of insulation and what was best for historical buildings. And that was my question. I said, "So what's the difference between that material and that material?" And he said, "A lot of money." However, knowing that that is something that can be recommended, and it is the owner's choice what they want to do.
hmm And I guess a lot of it as well is that planning departments, they need to be educated as well
Mhm.
because yes, they don't want a traditional single glazed sasha case window replaced. There are technologies out there now, glazing technologies, for example, that you can implement and you can put in place, but the planning department in a lot of cases still say no, we don't like that because it doesn't kind of fit the guidelines of the book, if you
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
So there'll be a lot of education required, I guess, of local authorities as well, I'm
Mhm.
assuming,
Yes,
as these
absolutely.
types of new technologies come to market.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. So if we take one business at a time, um, if we take progressive pathways first, what would you say your growth objectives and plans are for the next 12 months, Tina?
You want a number? So our growth plans, for me, I don't. For me, it's not about that number. It is about movement. It's about moving forward, always moving forward. It's about having fun and making money. Um, it's not a business that we will make millions at, but it is good work. And we are 6 years old. And I have to say, that's more than I could have hoped for. Many businesses fail, within the first 5 years. We are growing, we are healthy, our pipeline is full. And again, like looking at new technologies, we don't sit on our pipeline. We are developing that pipeline every day.
Okay, so it sounds like the big thing coming out there is social impact. Important, continues to be ever more important as you
Absolutely.
develop that business. And what about the Green Skills Academy? Completely different position, not trading yet, very close to opening the doors.
Mhm.
What would you say? Where would you like to be in 12 months with that business?
That has a number. I won't reveal it here, but the number is healthy, and it is achievable.
Okay. So we can't really finish a podcast together without talking about entrepreneurship. Okay. I know you're very passionate about this, Tina. We've known each other probably for what, 12, 18 months now. And we talk about this quite a lot. Can you share your views on entrepreneurship and the types of work that you typically get involved in both capacities, I guess, in terms of your day to day business?
Some of it comes to us, um, but a lot of it is about going on an adventure. So for me, understanding my market, understanding the industries within that market, um, it's a roadmap. It's about connecting the dots and it's about seeing the gaps. And that is what we go after, are those gaps. Entrepreneurship is wonderful. It's scary. I have a word for it. I call it excitus. It's excitus nervous, that tension, being on the edge. You get to a certain age, you don't get that feeling very often. And when it comes, you want it to last forever. So go on an adventure. Be curious. That's what I have to say. Entrepreneurship is it's about resilience. It's about persistence. So if resilience is, if you're failing and you get back up on your horse, persistence is about kicking that horse forward and not giving up. It's about fear and courage, not getting rid of the fear, but having the courage to face it, to fail, to learn from it, and to keep on going. And that's what entrepreneurship is to me.
Mhm.
It is the most delightful, delicious job I have ever had.
Great. Very wise words. Very wise words. So I ask many of my guests this final question. So no older, still look very young, by the way. Wiser, very experienced in the world of business. You've done a lot in your career. What would you say to your younger self if you were starting out again?
Don't do anything differently.
Good
Make the
advice.
mistakes, go on an adventure, see where it takes you.
Brilliant. Tina, thank you for coming in today to talk about your two businesses, and wish you all the best with both of them. Really excited to see with specifically what happens with the Green Skills Academy in the coming months and years, and I'm sure it'll be as successful as everything else that you've been involved in. So thank you for coming along.
Thank you for having me, Neil.
More than welcome. as this.
No, it wasn't. And that table was over here, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
And I brought Scott up here as well to
Mhm.
see it because we were going to do some together. Are you going to give me the script?
Yeah. I'll just... So basically, Kelsey, yeah, company name, and you delighted to be asked to take part in the Stuff on Business podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, and just say how fantastic the facility is, and you'd love to come back again and do another podcast along those lines.
Is that true? We'll see. Let's see the output first. Okay. Stirling Business Podcast. Yes.
You're on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tina Coviello. I am from Progressive Pathways Limited and Green Skills Training Academy. I was absolutely delighted to be asked here today for the Stirling Business Podcast. Fantastic crew. I was at ease, really enjoyed the chat, and I hope to be asked back soon.
Fabulous.
Perfect.
Well, there we ain't more than that, do we?
No, don't need 10 takes like earlier on. That was wonderful.
Well, thank you so much.
I enjoyed it.
Will I be able to see it before I go?
I'll give you a sneak peek. Don't worry.
Thank you. Did you go to the event on Friday night at the, was it the Wolf?